What's up guys, this is Miasin. So the Nekroz deck got support I think yesterday, so I decided, you know what, I really have to take that opportunity to make a combo video and deck profile as early as possible. And I think I'm like one of the first ones to make it, so yeah, it feels good to finally not be too late for once, you know. I think I've been slacking a little too much lately. But yeah, Nekroz, how good is the new support? I think it's solid. I don't think it's going to be like anything degenerate. It's not even remotely close to what it used to be. So don't expect like one card combos that can make like 10 negates. But it is a very cool and fun ritual deck that you can play. It's just overall really nice, and it doesn't like scoop too much to D-barrier because you can still ritual summon on your opponent's turn. There are some nice, interesting things that you can do. But yeah, before we go any further, you already know the drill. Smash the like and subscribe button. And if this video can get to 1,000 likes, and I know we can get there, I will be making a spreadsheet video on this deck where I will be covering 10 combos where I play around a bunch of hand traps, and I also show a bunch of different lines and as many interesting engines as possible in the Nekroz deck. But with that being said, let's get into combo number 1. Okay, so this one, all I have is an Nadir Servant and nothing else, so activate that and send my Garura, draw one card and search the Maximus, and then banish that Garura, special summon the Maximus, effect send 2 extra deck monsters, and my opponent does the same. I'm going to be sending the Herald of Arclight and the Titanic Lad that can special summon Clegia on your end phase and then search Fleur de Lis, or if you don't want to play that card because it doesn't really add anything to the deck, you can just search the Fleur de Lis right away. And the Herald of Arclight will be searching for Brionac, and Brionac does a lot on its own now. It is pretty much a one-card combo. It doesn't do, like, a lot of things, but it still does some things. So it searches for this card right here, Advance, and on summon, this card can special summon a Nekroz monster from your deck, so you can summon the Emilia, Dance Princess of the Nekroz, and this one is a Stratos, so on summon, it searches a Nekroz ritual monster or a Nekroz spell card from your deck to your hand. So you're going to be searching for the Arid Bear. This card is remarkable, and it used to not be like that great, but now, with the new support, it's one of the best cards that you can play. The real reason why it's good is because of its in-hand effect, because in case you didn't know, the Nekroz monsters, they all have like 2 effects. One in the hand, one on the field. So obviously you can only really use the second one if you ritual summon them. And the first one, even if you have like a hand full of blue cards, usually you can still play the game very well. So Nekroz of Arid Bear, it reads, you can discard this card in your hand, tribute up to 2 Nekroz monsters from your hand and or field, and if you do send that many Nekroz cards from your deck to the graveyard. So this is going to be allowing you to get your Nekroz Divine Mirror in your graveyard. And even if you have like monsters on your field, you can still banish it to search a Nekroz spell from your deck to your hand. It is not like the other mirrors out there. So you're going to be banishing the Emilia and then search your deck for the Cycle. And Cycle is the one that revives back from the graveyard by using the materials from your hand or field. I always get mixed up between this one and the other one, Nekroz Mirror. It's very confusing. But yeah, ritual summon the Arid Bear, and it does negate Nibiru, by the way. But it does have to tribute a monster from your hand or field in order to negate a monster effect. And it also banishes the card. It's pretty much exactly like the Dragunity Arid Bear. It's pretty much the same concept because the Nekroz monsters, they're interconnected to like a lot of other decks in the lore. And yeah, just like that, your one-card combo ends on Arid Bear with some nice follow-up and advantage in hand. So yeah, that's a +4 off of one card because you're recycling back as many of your banished Nekroz monsters with different names when you tribute that events. However, that is a once per duel effect, so I don't necessarily recommend using it when you only have 2 cards in your banished. Otherwise, you will get rid of... I mean, you're pretty much giving up on like a really broken effect just for 2 cards. Might as well hold it for like a later on when you have like 7 cards in your banished. Then it's like super unfair. Okay, so in this situation, I have Advance, Swordsman of the Nekroz, as well as Nekroz of Arid Bear, and I can still do quite a lot. So normal summon, special summon my Shurit, and then I will be using the effect of Arid Bear, tribute itself, well, discard itself, and then tribute the Shurit, send the Divine Mirror, and Shurit will trigger to search the Brionac. Brionac, discard, search the Emilia. I really have to do this in this order because Shurit can only search a Warrior Nekroz Ritual monster, so Brionac can search any Nekroz monster. So this is how you can get to your Emilia Dance Princess. And you can special summon Emilia if you have a Warrior Nekroz monster on your field or in your graveyard. In this case, either the Shurit or the Nekroz of Brionac, or even the Arid Bear. And then you're going to be searching the Unicorn. And Unicorn, you can discard it and then recycle back any Nekroz card from your graveyard to your hand. That is going to be the Shurit, because unlike the Emilia and the Vance, Shurit can always be used as the full material for your Nekroz ritual summons, regardless of where it is, whereas these ones, they have to be on the field, unfortunately. So yeah, recycle back, well, search your Cycle with the Divine Mirror, go into Bahamut Shark, and then detach, summon the Toad, and then activate your Nekroz Cycle, send your Shurit, and then summon your Arid Bear. That's not too bad with only 2 cards, so that's I mean, that's a Toad Omni Negate, an Arid Bear Monster Negate, and a lot of follow-up. So this combo, on the other hand, is actually even better because this time we can get full advantage of the other Nekroz mirror spells that we play, because we're not even going to have any monsters on our field, so we can do some nasty things. But first things first, the Arid Bear is going to be pitching the Shurit, and then send the Nekroz mirror. And you can only, again, use the Graveyard effect if you control low monsters, which is something that wasn't the case in combo number 1, because we did have to normal summon the Advance and then summon monsters on the field, etc. But yeah, the Shurit is going to be searching the Brionac, obviously. This card itself search the Advance, but before we summon it, we really want to use the Graveyard effect of the Mirror, and then search your deck for the Divine Mirror, and then normal summon the Advance, and then effect special summon the Amelia, and Amelia is going to be triggering to search the Unicorn. And from here on out, it's pretty much the exact same thing as before. Activate Divine Mirror, get rid of the Shurit, and then summon your Arid Bear so that Nibiru doesn't really bother you too much. As a matter of fact, it's actually better to go into Bahamut and then Toad and then Arid Bear, because if the Bahamut Shark is summon number 5, which I don't think is the case here, but still, you can't like negate the Nibiru by getting rid of a Bahamut Shark that hasn't used this effect yet. For obvious reasons, it's an ignition effect, not a trigger effect. The difference between this combo and the last one is that you also have a Divine Mirror for your opponent's turn, so that after you use that Toad to like negate and also get a water monster from your graveyard to your hand, you can ritual summon on your opponent's turn again, and that can be the Unicorn. And against the decks where the extra deck really matters, well, you negate every the effect of every monstrous special summon from the extra deck while Nekroz of Unicorn is on the field. And you're also getting some nice follow-up because you're searching with a Shurit, etc. You have your graveyard effect of Divine Mirror. It's just a really good deck at playing post turn 1, which I really like a lot. This deck has a fantastic red game. Last but definitely not least, this is the fourth and final combo where, I mean, obviously I have way more to show in case we do get to that spreadsheet. But this one, assuming that I have Arid Bear, Shurit, as well as Nadir Servant, so the combination of like combo number 1 and combo number 3, you can do quite a lot of nasty things. It is absolutely beautiful to look at. But yeah, Arid Bear first, obviously, because we're trying to summon from the extra deck, and Nadir Servant only locks you for the rest of the turn, not during the turn you activate this card. And the very beginning is going to be the exact same, so send your Divine Mirror, your Mirror with the Arid Bear. So you're only trying to Foolish for 1 card. I think Foolishing for 2 cards is just not really worth it. And then again, search the Brionac with a Shurit. Brionac searches the Advance, normal summon Advance, special summon the Amelia. Amelia will pretty much always search the Unicorn here, just so that you can recycle back the Shurit, and then go into Bahamut Shark, so that's summon number 3. Toad is going to be summon number 4, and then Divine Mirror summon the Arid Bear. So even if your opponent has like Imperm Nib, you can negate both at the same time, because the Arid Bear can negate the Nib, and then your opponent goes Imperm, and then you just go Toad negate. It's beautiful to look at. But yeah, Nadir Servant, send the Garura, and then draw 1 card, Maximus banish, and then special summon that, and then effect, send your Herald of Arclight and Titanic Lad. If you don't want to play Fleur de Lis, then you also don't really have to, but you can send like the Tri-Brigade Link 2, for example. That's also not, I mean, it's relatively respectable. And the Herald of Arclight that you send with the Maximus is going to be searching the Trishula, which you can actually use on your opponent's turn. This is beautiful to look at because Divine Mirror is not a ritual spell, it is a quickly spell. So this is going to be absolutely nasty, and obviously on the end phase, we also get the end phase search of the Dogmatica Fleur de Lis, or we could have special summon the Ecclesia and then search that, so that we have even more like monsters to like use as ritual material for your Nekroz summon. But on your opponent's turn, you got the Arid Bear Monster Negate, you got the Toad Omni Negate, and of course we can flip that Divine Mirror, get rid of a monster that is level 10 or higher, or like Shurit or something like that, and then you can summon the Trishula. You cannot use a level 9 monster for Trishula. You can't use a level 9 for Trish, you can't use a level 8 for Valk. You can't use a level 9 for the Metaltron, and you can't use a level 10 for the Arid Bear. But you can use a level 4 for the Unicorn, obviously. That's how people are using Kaleidoscope, sending Herald of Arclight, summon the Unicorn. So, you know, the small Nekroz, you can always ritual summon them however you see fit. And yeah, make sure, by the way, that you summon Trishula in Chainlink 1, otherwise it will miss timing, because this card is worded very similarly to the old Trishula, so it really has to banish. I mean, it's an optional when effect, so if it's not the last thing to happen, it will not be able to banish anything. And also, obviously, unlike the Synchro Trishula, you really have to make sure that your opponent has at least 1 card in the hand, 1 card on the field, and 1 card in the graveyard, otherwise it cannot resolve. It has to resolve at 100%, not 33 or 67%. But yeah, you got Trishula on your opponent's turn, you got an Omni Negate, a Monster Negate, the Monster Negate off of Fleur de Lis, huge follow-up for days, You can recycle back a bunch of cards when that you tribute that advance, etc. It's gorgeous to look at. I love this deck, but again, I can't really say that it's going to be tier 0 because that is not going to be the case. Alrighty, so for the deck profile, I will again try my best to make this as simple and easy to understand as possible, but I'm playing a decent amount of starters just to make this deck as clean and consistent as possible, while also trying my hardest to play as many good board breakers that realistically make this deck able to actually crack boards going second, because I don't think that hand traps are the correct approach in this deck. You do not have enough space for non-engine cards to really warrant hand traps like playing hand traps. It just doesn't make sense if you can only play like Ash and Impulse, for example. You might as well just play like the whole package of board breakers. Nadir Servant, I do consider a board breaker in this situation because going second, you can send like Elder Entity Entis, break boards, and then your Maximus also baits like another interruption. It's a great card. And also when you're playing breakers instead of hand traps, your 6 draw for turn actually matters. So that's the beauty about playing these cards. And also, in case you noticed, both Nadir Servant and Ultimate Slayer, on top of being breakers, they can also get your engine started, which is beautiful because let's just say your opponent has like a big synchro monster that's annoying. You go Ultimate Slayer, you bounce it back to the extra deck, you send Herald of Arclight, and then you search Brionac, and from here on out, you get to play while also getting rid of your opponent's threats. So you see, this is really freaking awesome. But yeah, for the starters, Advanced Swordsman of the Nekroz as well as Amelia. You can play 3 Amelia if you want to, but then you have way too many monsters that you can just normal summon, and that's just not really worth it. So I think we're fine with just these, this ratio of 3 and then 2. And also 2 Shurit and 2 Colossalas, but the reinforcement of the army that can act as the 3rd Shurit or the 3rd Colossalas just in case there's like one that would be better in a specific situation. I think this makes sense, but it does play harder into Droll, so that's one thing to keep in consideration. But honestly, this deck gets absolutely demolished by Droll. You're trying to search like 10 billion times from your deck. And by the way, this deck really changed since the last time. I really don't think that Valkyries control really makes sense. I thought that Valkyries would be a decent card against the Tenpai Dragon deck, but it is garbage because it can only end the battle phase if it successfully negates the attack. So in other words, if your opponent goes like attack with Chandra, whatever, and then you try to go Valkyries there, your opponent can chain to like quick sync, and then the attack didn't even go through, there's nothing to negate, and then your opponent can still kill you. It's just a little dumb. That's how people were dodging Valkyries back in the days. Or they can also go like Ruddy Rose, banish everything from your grave so that there is nothing to banish. Or they can go like Transcendent, and then you can't even use Valkyries on the battle phase. Trust me, relying on this card against Tenpai, it's not going to get you far. Unfortunately, because yes, this card used to be really cool back in the days. But yeah, 1 Trishula, this is the boss monster, and there's so much recursion from the banish, so even if you're only playing 1, it doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, the way I rationalize the ratios in Nekroz is if the card is a 1-of, it means that I don't want to play it, but I still want to have access to it if I really want it. And if a card is a 3-of, then it's a great card, and I really want to draw it. As a matter of fact, all the 3-ofs are cards that are fantastic, I think, in this deck. And if a card is a 2-of, it's like a combo piece. It's not necessarily great, but it doesn't suck. So I might as well play 2 just because sometimes I want to see it, sometimes I don't want to see it. Colossalus searches a ritual spell, and then, well, Nekroz spell, and then the Unicorn recycles back from the graveyard to the hand. So it's objectively worse than Brionac, which actually searches from the deck to the hand, and it can search like your starters. So that's the reason why it's much better. And then 3 Arid Bear because the in-hand effect is very, very good. If you have this and Shurit, it's a beautiful combo, as I've showcased in combo number 3. And if you have Nadir Servant on top, even better. 3 and then 2 Amelia, 3 Arid Bear, 3 Brionac, 3 Nadir Servant, 3 Ultimate Slayer, 3 Droplet, 3 Book of Eclipse, 3 Divine Mirror, as well as 1 Kaleidoscope, 1 Mirror, and then 1 Cycle. These cards, to like ritual summon, they're all once per turn. Same thing with Divine Mirror, so I just wanted to diversify my options a little bit more. If anything, Kaleidoscope is the best one out of 3, just because it works really well with Unicorn. Are you really trying to play 3 Kaleidoscope and 3 Unicorn just to make it work? I don't think so. I'm still waiting for Nekroz, like, Synchro Monsters so that Divine Mirror gets even better. Because, unfortunately, this card, it can only, like, send Nekroz monsters from your extra deck to the graveyard, or tribute monsters from your hand or field to, like, summon the Nekroz from your hand or banished. It's a little unfortunate, otherwise it would have been, like, so freaking insane. And yeah, the Mirror and Cycle, these cards are not, like, super, super great. They're, like, a mere fraction of what they used to be back in the days. And finally, the Maximus and the Fleur de Lis. This makes a lot of sense. We get 40 cards. Try to play 40 if you can. For the extra deck, the Titanic Lat, so that your Maximus always has the Fleur de Lis, which is, I guess, a failure or imperm. Garura, and then Elder Entity Entis, the Despin Lulu Walilith. It's a level 12 Synchro Monster, so you can use it off of the Kaleidoscope to ritual summon both the Trishula as well as Colossalus, or Valkyris and Unicorn, or double Brionac, and you can also send this with either Nadir Servant or the Maximus, and then end phase special summon like Fleur de Lis or something. I don't really know, I don't think it's gonna matter too much, but who cares. Golden Cloud Beast Malong, either like off of Kaleidoscope summon the Brionac, or off of your Nadir Servant. So yeah, and Ultimate Slayer, obviously. So yeah, it's a breaker, and then double Herald of Arclight. This makes a lot of sense. Mirologic Aggregator off of the Ultimate Slayer for the Raziel matchup. So this is like, this build is practically teched out to beat Raziel on game 1. It's kind of like a going second deck, but if I win the dice roll, I choose to go first. It's hard to explain, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is not the correct way to do things. Anyways, Bahamut Shark with the Toad, Dweller and Baguska. You can also play like Dugaris, Daigusto Emerald. There's a lot of options, and Tornado Dragon. And then the Tri-Brigade Link monster for Ultimate Slayer, and then the Marincess Coral Anemone. You can revive back your events, because this one is exactly 1500 attack, and finally SP Lone Knight. For the idea section, one Diviner, whatever. If you want to play like Diviner in this deck, you could, but then you have way too many normal summons, so I don't recommend. Nekroz of Decisive Armor. I actually don't think this card is too great. I don't think you need it for anything. Nekroz of Trishula if you want to play more copies. I guess if you get Impermed on like your advance, then you can discard the Nekroz of Trishula in your hand, and then you can protect yourself from that. It's kind of like similar to like Seravis effect, I believe. Nekroz of Metaltron. I actually think this is like the worst card out of all the new ones that have been announced. It's a little disappointing, unfortunately. I'm not a big fan of it. And then if you want to play like the Dogmatic Ritual monsters, you can also do that. Nekroz of Gungnir doesn't do much of anything. I don't think it's a great card, honestly. Nekroz of Catastor, the in-hand effect is great. The on-field effect, not so much. In-hand effect, I think, got way better with the new support, because it actually, like, it's a monstery board, I guess, but do you really need it for anything? I also don't think so. Third Colossalus, Psychic and Punisher, just for, like, different levels for your Kaleidoscope. And then Telemium 7 if you want to play Diviner, so that you can use Divine and Brionac, recycle back a monster from your hand, etc. But I also don't think it's really good. Dynamundum, it's not the same as like Voice's Voice, where you also trigger back the Novox and then plays the trap card. In this deck, you also don't get the effect of Trishula, because it has to be ritual summoned, and this only like special summons it back. So it will not trigger Trishula, unfortunately. And then Preparation of Rites. I think Nadir Servant is just a better card, but if you can squeeze in Preparation of Rites, that would be cool, because it does search Brionac, which then searches Advance and into Melia and everything. So it's a good card. And then finally, more Nekroz ritual spells, if you really feel the need for them. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know how you feel about Nekroz and the new support in the comment section below. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.